What is going on, guys? Friday Dog Talk tonight. What's on the agenda? Tonight we're going to be talking about what is raw feeding, barf versus prey model. Later on, we're going to talk about why feed raw, health benefits versus myth busting. When to start puppies on raw. We're also going to talk about should you grind bones or feed whole, as well as how much to feed based on weight and age. In addition, raw meal planning. We got meat, bones, organs, and supplements we're going to talk about. Safe and unsafe foods to feed in raw feeding. Common mistakes and how to avoid them. Then we're going to do live Q&A. Ask your raw feeding questions tonight. You already know we do this. We do this every single Friday and Monday at 7 p.m. CST. As for right now, let's get this thing started.
Here we go. Kill the whistle. Oh yeah. We are going for a whole hour. Straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time. Don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate and learn to cooperate. Yeah. Hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p. CST. Don't come doing the HATE. Otherwise Hollywood will give you the BYE. Here we go, kill the whistle. Oh yeah, we are going for a whole hour. Straight dog talk and a song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate and learn to cooperate. Hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p. CST. Don't come doing the HATE. Otherwise Hollywood will give you the BYE.
The BYE. What is going on, guys? We get together every single Friday. Some people call this a podcast, but in reality, I call it a discussion, right? We go back and forth with members, even so non-members as well, if we have enough time. And tonight, we're going to be talking about raw feeding, barf diet. What is the difference between barf diet and raw feeding? How much should you be feeding pups? When? How many times? What is good? What is bad? And everything else in between. That's why we're also going to hold a live Q&A. Detailer says, what's up, QBN? Raul Hollywood. What's your plans for Super Bowl, Raul? Are you guys going to three-peat? I'm not for the Chiefs, man. I'm not. But see, I got 2 favorite football teams real quick. Unfortunately, I'm a Dallas Cowboy fan, right? And I really want nothing to do with them. The only other team I like is whoever's beating the Philadelphia Eagles that week. That's the only other team I like, man. Straight up. But listen, let's get on topic here real quick because we have a lot of information to cover. By the time you're done watching this live, you're going to have more of a comprehensive idea as to how to go about feeding raw, which model it is that you prefer to follow, and that sort of thing. Basically, raw feeding is the most natural way to nourish your dog. No preservatives, no fillers, right? No chemicals, all that stuff they be putting in kibble. We already know you don't get that when you're feeding raw, and it's whole food, right? But not all raw diets are the same. So let me break it down for you. The barf diet. What is barf diet? First of all, what does barf stand for? BARF stands for biological or biologically appropriate raw food. That's it. Biologically appropriate raw food, right? So that's the diet that a lot of people like to put their dogs on. And basically, the BARF diet consists of 70% muscle meat, right? Then in addition to that, you're going to have about 10% edible bones. And in addition, you're going to have 10% organ meat, right? Offal, right? 5% liver or 5% other organs. A lot of times I used to do beef kidneys and whatnot. And then in addition, you have an additional 10% that you could either divvy up 5% fruits, 5% vegetables, or 10% vegetables. I've seen it done 10% fruit. Here's the deal about these percentages, guys. Don't get caught up with all the percentages. Oh, Raul, I need to measure it precisely. No, you don't have to measure it precisely. Just be consistent. And if one day you gave too little or too much, adjust the following day. It's as simple as that. Um, Consistent. What I mean by consistent is consistently feeding, you know, the same food in similar amounts. If you went a little bit over, a little bit under, it's not the end of the world. I'm making barf as I speak. Okay, good deal. Recon Blue says, good evening, fam. My favorite subject. You got it, man. I had a lot of people hitting me up asking me, hey, man, you haven't talked about raw or barf in a while. I'd like for you to make a live so we could talk a little bit on it. Shay says, in my home, we feed barf. There you go. Hollis Howtown says, good topic, Raw. I just received my raw food from Rich DeBerry. Raw food is definitely the best way to go. We're also going to talk about that. These companies that are sourcing it out, or not sourcing it, they're actually making it. You do pay a little bit more of a premium, but we're going to talk about it. Georgetown Bully says, stream. Also, as I'm streaming, I got you. Recon Blues. Raw is never balanced. Variety is key. Good point. Variety is really important. Changing up the proteins is really important. We're going to get into that. Caveman, breed type specific for the percentages. This could be true. And it's not so much breed type. It's more of body type, right? Body type. Malachi, be careful. Your dogs are going to attack you if you eat raw meat. He's just kidding around because I dropped a short talking about that. It's a myth. There's no such thing as your dogs become more aggressive because you are feeding raw. Now, let me get into the prey model, right? PMR. And the prey model, in my opinion, is more of a carnivore diet. That's the main difference between the two. And basically, it's 80% muscle meat, right? You're going to have 10% raw edible bone. And then in addition, you have 10% organ meat, right? Liver and other organs. Now, it doesn't have the fruit or vegetables. So the dog will not be getting antioxidants, will not be getting any type of sugars, like simple sugars. And in addition, they will not be getting fiber either, which for me is a mistake. It's a mistake because true enough, you can argue that wolves, right? Wolves, the ancestors to our dogs, they eat rats and rodents and this and that, and that's all meat. And this is true. However, those rodents, rats, squirrels, whatever, they eat fruits and oats and vegetables and this and that and the other. So when the wolf eats that mouse or that rat or whatever, it's all meat. But on the inside, in the stomach contents, it also has all these other vegetables and fiber and fruits and all sorts of stuff. And in addition, their livers are made up of having eaten these things. So if you do not, that's the reason why I prefer barf diet over just PMR, or better yet, prey model, is because those antioxidants and extra vitamins and everything else, you got to add it. It just doesn't come with it. Caveman says bully breeds have different digestions than LGDs. For example, ability to process certain proteins, fats, or carbs. Okay, fair enough. Right now, we're gonna talk in general terms. So it doesn't matter what breed you have. You're gonna have an idea as to how these models are composed, what is right to do, what is wrong to do in general. And then later on down, you can research your breed and be more specific as to what you want to do. D. William, what's going on, bully fan? No, nothing but love, man. D. Will, thanks for joining us. By the way, guys, if you want to become a member, it's really simple. All you got to do is go down to descriptions below. Click on membership for as little as $5 a month. We could be having this conversation one-on-one. All right. Let me see. Craig Campbell says, good to see everyone. I've had to cook my dog's food. He just went off raw with I guess, vegetables. Ricans, can they get the fiber from fur or feathers? Actually, you'd be surprised. The fur and feathers, the way it works is it raises the pressure inside of the gut, and it actually helps push out parasites. So no, you're not going to get fiber from fur, but everything that the wolf eats has a purpose. That's why they eat everything whenever they catch a prey. Is it okay to feed raw and kibble at the same time? Mr. Grindaholic. Well, check it out, man. I've always said that you can't stay in the same place and you have to consistently be evolving. Right now, I normally feed raw, in particular barf. Right now, we have decided to feed raw with kibble and cooked. So right now we're doing la-di-da-di everybody. And what am I cooking? Rice and potatoes. That's just to be able to regulate the protein content. The type of kibble that I'm using right now, you guys already know. I've said it 100 times. You go to Sam's Club and you get Members Mark. The one I'm using right now is salmon and sweet potato. Soon we're going to be trying their chicken and vegetable formula. It's got a higher protein content on there. I'm going to try it out with one dog and see how it goes. Hollis Houghton says his heritage blend is the best for me. I add baby spinach, carrots, and other fruits and veggies. Okay, good deal. Caveman is saying gas, gas, gas. Yeah, at first you will get some gas when they go raw. It's hard on their digestive system to feed raw and kibble at the same time because of the enzymes the dog body creates. Not just the enzymes, also the biome, the probiotics, the germs in the gut, right? You need certain germs to destroy raw, and then you need certain germs to destroy kibble. Right now, however, you'd be surprised. I guess my dogs have enough biome because everybody's pooping good, nice and tight, and everybody's just doing phenomenal right now. Rican says, dogs are dogs. They all have the same digestive tracts and enzymes. This is not true. This is not true. That's why you have different breeds of dogs. And the fact that any breed is a designer breed, right? Designed by man to do whatever. There's some dogs that are going to have more food allergies. There's going to be some dogs that can't process certain things. It's got more to do with the fact that you basically dwindle down to a specific population in comparison, to the entirety of the dogs as a I don't want to say as a race, but as a species. Therefore, you have a little tiny grain of sand in this beach of amount of dogs. No, they're not all the same. In fact, they can be very different. Caveman says, you'll know by the smell if you give your bully too much protein. You know that's right. I feed rabbit fur. That's really good, man. It's going to help your dog get rid of parasites. I believe the fur works like a fiber. Okay, so let me explain to you real quick what fiber does in the gut so we could all understand why fur does not act like fiber. What fiber does is once it gets to the gut, it's kind of like a sponge. It absorbs moisture. This is why if you have a dog with diarrhea, and that means they have a lot of water in the gut, right? Ready to come out. When you feed fiber, what that fiber does is it absorbs that water, right? And now it makes it a little bit more bulk form for the dog not to continue having diarrhea. So hair, as much as you put it in the gut, it's not going to take in the water, so it doesn't work as fiber, guys. Yeah, let me skip here a little bit. I'm gonna skip. If I skipped your question, don't get upset. Go ahead and ask it again. Let me just continue on here. So like I said earlier, barf diet includes plant matter. Like I said, it's either fruit or vegetables, and antioxidants, like if you're feeding them blueberries or strawberries. Prey model is just a true carnivore approach. All you're feeding is meat. And, meat, bone, and organ meat. That's it. And it says here, from what I understand, right? If you feed your dog prey model exclusively, right? Um, you can actually over time, it could actually affect the dog's gut, in particular the small intestine. So that's why I say I take the barf diet over the PMR or prey model. It's because that little bit of fiber. Now, mind you, dogs are carnivores. So dogs only have 7 feet of intestine. They don't have 30 feet like we do, right? And so things are going by real quick. And also their acidity level in the stomach is super high to break down everything, including bones. So adding a little bit of fiber, antioxidants, it's only going to help the dog in the long run. Now, part two of this live, remember, we're breaking this down in many different parts. Part two says, why feed raw, right? Myths and facts. So why should you switch to raw? Let's break down the real benefits. Healthier skin and coat. This is definitely a check. Shinier fur, fewer allergies. So if your dog is suffering from allergies and you're feeding kibble, if you hit me up, first thing out of my mouth is, what are you feeding your dog? And once I hear his kibble, I'm going to tell you to put him on raw. It's also going to improve your dog's digestion. So there's going to be less bloating, particularly those that own medium to large breed dogs that suffer from bloating, like the American Bully. This actually reduces the possibility of that happening. Why is that? Why does it reduce? Well, it's rather simple. I'm going to tell you right now. Whenever you feed raw, 70% of the content is water. Whereas when you feed kibble, right, the reason they cook it is so it could have shelf life. And the cooking action is what degrades and denatures everything, but it takes the water out of the kibble. So when now the dog eats kibble, right, stomach acids and whatnot are being pulled in, right, in order to moisten this food, in order for it to be digested. Therefore, your dog's going to have more of a chance of being bloated. Oh, straight up, we got ourselves a new member. We got Mr. D. Williams. D. Williams, man. Hold up, let me.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón. We do this every Monday at 7 p.m. CST and every Friday, like right now, at 7 p.m. CST as well. Thank you for joining us. So like I said, less bloating. It also firms the stool, right? Whenever you're feeding a raw. Now, hold on. I know there's some of you right now saying, no, it didn't firm my dog's stool. Well, nobody's telling you to put your dog on raw cold turkey, right? You just don't feed kibble and then out of the blue, no, we're not feeding kibble anymore. You're just going to eat raw. Yeah, you're asking for it. My recommendation in order to transition a dog from kibble to raw is, like I've said here 100 times, guys. Got my little Nuvet bottle right here. What you do is, say you feed this much to your dog on a daily. Tomorrow, take down 10%, add raw, and the rest feed kibble. The following day, go down to 20%, feed raw, feed kibble, then 30%, feed raw, feed all the way through until you transition the dog over. Once the dog is fully transitioned, you're going to see less poop and more compact. I guarantee it. All right. Also, one of the most important things is no fillers. If you know anything about fillers that they add in kibble, get stuck inside of the dog's gut in the long run, right? Also, you get stronger teeth and gums, right? So the raw bones are actually scratching on the teeth. Kind of like when you go to the dentist and they grab that little metal thing that they scratch on your teeth, man. Well, pretty much that's what raw bone does for the dogs. So it naturally cleans the teeth and the gum. In addition, there's more energy and muscle tone for your dogs. Okay. So basically, this is all having to do with better protein absorption. Because now, remember, there's 3 macronutrients: carbohydrates, fat, and protein. Getting rid, right, of carb. Well, barf diet doesn't get rid of carbs. There's only like 10% of it, right, in the diet. So it's mostly, fat and protein. It actually increases the dog's ability to absorb more protein. right? It also reduced the risk of diseases. Guys, kibble is one of them things that because of the way it's processed and denatured, and I've spoken on this since I've been blue in the face. It's been proven that dogs that are on kibble have a higher chance of certain cancers in the long run, right? So no ultra processed ingredients. This is all whole food. So myths that are debunked that go with this. All right, myth number one, raw feeding dogs makes dogs aggressive. That's straight BS. This is not true. You can come here to QBN and I'll have my dogs lick you to death, right? Dogs will get sick from raw meat, right? Only if the meat is handled incorrectly. And we're going to get into that here in a minute. Bones are dangerous. Bones are not dangerous for dogs, okay? Except two exceptions. First exception is cooked bone because it splinters. Second exception is if the puppy doesn't have second set of teeth and you're feeding it bone, then yes, that can be dangerous as well. Only because they're going to want to swallow things that are bigger than a dime because they can't break it with their teeth, and that might end up making them choke, right? Let me catch up here on the comments. When feeding raw, what percentage do you want to make sure that your dog is getting? We're going to get into that. I just hit up on both of them, actually, so you might want to rewind this video just about 2 minutes back, and it's all there. Detailer, should you feed separate and feed raw cooked, then kibble, then 10 to 12 hours later? Detailer, that's an excellent question. Right now, I'm feeding it all together. That's just me. Let's see. Rican Blues, some raw is better than no raw if you can't feed full raw. There you go. Shade Tree, yes. Adam Field, pues claro que sí, cabrón. Caveman says kibble kills the gut pH. Yes, absolutely. Absolutely, it does. D. Williams had to make the choice to become a member today, praying for a spin on the wheel. Hint, hint. Ha, ha. D. Williams, you got to earn it, bro. You got to come up with some good questions. But I'm rooting for you. That's going to count for something. I'm rooting for you. So, Sid 1026, most of the dogs I had seem to be allergic to grain and chicken fat in kibble. Okay, that's fair enough. Most dogs have shown that. Oh, man, real quick. Shout out to Good Brothers Kennel. He has just gone ahead and gifted a membership, man. Appreciate you, man. Nah. Let's put that thing nice and loud.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón. Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
There you go. Thank you, Good Brothers. Nothing but love, man. Appreciate you. Appreciate you guys. Definitely. Look at D. Williams, man. D. Williams is pushing hard today. He wants to get himself a spin.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
Thank you, D. We do this, like I said, every Monday, 7 p. CST, and Friday, 7 p. CST. And it might have made my dog Fireball start barking, which is fine. Craig Campbell says, can you tell me if I put 10 blueberries mixed in with the food, there's 8 left in the bowl. I blotch them and I add to yogurt. That's great. You should do that. Unfortunately, I have to take early, little busy over here, but let me leave a gift before I go. Thank you, Good Brothers, man. Nothing but love for you. Rican Blues says, also recommend starting with one protein and adding a little bit at a time. Organ, vegetables, and fruits. I start with meaty bones and go from there. Good point. Good point. So let me continue on this. Let's see. So we went over the myths. So let me get into part 3. When to start puppies on raw, right? So puppies can actually start on raw between 3 and 4 weeks. Literally, I wean my puppies off of mom on day 23. I rarely go, maybe day 24 at most. I rarely go over that number. And immediately, once they're weaned off, I put them straight into raw, right? They're going straight to eating raw. And the bone, however, I will grind for them, right? Because obviously they can't, right? And also you got to keep in mind that puppies do take in a higher level of calcium because their bone haven't really, calcified fully yet. They're mostly calcified, but they're not like 100% calcified. Um, Avoid these mistakes, right? So don't give puppies weight-bearing bones. Some of you might decide I'm going to feed the puppies the bone anyways. Make sure it's not like the beef femur, right? Um, it's just too hard and it's useless. If you decide to go that route, which I don't recommend, I recommend chicken. I just wouldn't recommend beef at that point. Make sure to not give excess liver or organs at first because you are going to get some loose stools until they get used to that higher amount. If it's liver, the higher amount of certain vitamins that are in there. Always balance the calcium and phosphorus. Guys, one of the reasons I would never recommend for you to feed beef exclusively and just beef and beef and beef alone is because in the beef, there's phosphorus and there's no calcium. You see, calcium and phosphorus, they work together. So calcium and phosphorus are antagonistic to each other. So when there's phosphorus, calcium is lower and vice versa, right? But you kind of want to keep it balanced because if you give your dog too much phosphorus and not enough calcium, not only can you cause bone growth issues, you're gonna cause skin itchiness. You're gonna cause hair loss. You're gonna cause all sorts of issues. That's one of the reasons why I feel one of the best ways to do it is feeding your dogs chicken quarters. It's no secret. I've said it 100 times. I go to Walmart. I buy a 10-pound bag of chicken quarters for $5.72. And that's 10 pounds of chicken quarters. And the good thing is when they eat that bone's got the calcium, it's got phosphorus. The chicken quarters pretty much bring everything. For the exception of some vitamins, it pretty much brings everything. D. Williams says, how often should you switch the choice of protein when feeding raw? And what are the pros or cons of switching or not switching the protein? Okay, excellent question, D. Williams. You know what? I'm going to give you a free spin for that one. So, how often should you change it around? As often as you can. As often as you can. If you could feed your dog, say, beef on Monday, chicken on Tuesday, turkey, say, on Wednesday, and then go back to beef on Thursday, chicken on Friday, and turkey again on Saturday, that's great. It kind of keeps things, otherwise, if you keep feeding just chicken, the dog starts getting that prisoner mentality where no matter what you feed it, he already knows it's chicken. Doesn't matter how you cook it or how you prepare it. He doesn't care. It's just chicken again. You know what I mean? So that's the reason behind that. It also keeps your dog interested in food, right? And that's important, especially if you're trying to train a dog, right? So just keep that in mind. What are the cons of not switching it up? If you just feed, say, beef in the long run, you might deplete calcium because, like I said, it's nothing but phosphorus you're feeding. And then also the dog may get to a point that they don't want to eat it. But it's sirloin steak. Yeah. But it's the 500th time in a row you're feeding it to me. That's why I don't want it. You see what I'm saying? So that's also one reason why dogs will do the same thing with kibble. Over time, they'll just not want it anymore. It doesn't sit well with them. So I don't know what's going on. My hat over here. There you go. We'll just do that. So we got Hollis Howtown saying, great subject, Raul. All of you should pass the information on to the people that you know that this information is what the younger dog people need to be aware of. Absolutely, man. Absolutely. And that's what we ask. We ask, share our info. Don't just keep it for yourself. Thank you, Shade Tree. Mike, to lighten the cost, what do you recommend someone put in as a healthy filler that will also add in other nutritional value. Okay, so that's a good question. The only fillers I use is rice and potatoes. Rice and potatoes really don't serve too much nutritionally outside of being a simple sugar, a simple carbohydrate. Um, we're going to get into supplements later on, but the supplement I do use is Nuvet. And of course, we use NuJoint DS. One of the reasons I use this is because the amount of stuff that we're putting into chicken livers, cow livers, growth hormones, antibiotics, whatever, this stuff doesn't bring it, right? In addition, I have noticed that my dogs are actually, there was an 8% increase of the food that they were already taking in. So we weren't adding more, we weren't taking away. We were feeding the same amounts, yet they were taking in an additional 8%, right, of the food that was already being fed. So Michael Higginson, in order to better answer your question, my recommendation would be Nuvet and NuJoint DS, because that 8% means that you get to save on 8% of what you're feeding. By the way, this is the green bottle, Nuvet, blue bottle, NuJoint DS, and that's our ordering code 513237. And because of this right here, or this right here, same thing, I saw an 8% increase with the same amount of food I was feeding. How is that possible? I'm going to tell you how it's possible. Because Nuvet is human food grade, right? So the vitamin C that you're feeding your dog is of the highest quality that you can feed the dog. He will actually use that vitamin C to be able to consume and be able to repair its body and do all sorts of other metabolic processes that it needs. Whereas when you're only feeding that kibble and it's getting cooked, the dog is lacking the vitamin C, and therefore it's not even able to consume because it doesn't have the vitamin C there to help it consume the majority of the nutrients that are there, right? So just throwing that out there, man. Shaytree says, this is lovely. I hope we can talk about herbs for dogs in the future. We can talk about it tonight. Facts, I've been switching it up, says Carl Clemens. You got it. Nuvet NuJoint DS rule. It is 513237. You got it, Shade Tree. Rican Blue says, I start pups with chicken feet, then chicken backs, and last quarters as bones. That's fair. We love Nuvet. So grateful. Thank you, Shade Tree. Adam says, we use herbs every day for our dogs with a food topper that Raul has a video about. You got it. Green Monster. Let me jump back in here real quick, and let's get to part 4 of this that we're talking about. And the question is, should you grind or let your dog chew on whole bones, right? Here's what you need to know, guys. I feel that if a dog has its second set of teeth, if it's a medium-sized to large-sized breed, they should have no issues, usually about 4.5 months, breaking bone from chicken quarters. That should not be an issue. Now, if you gave it to a Chihuahua, I could understand, or a Yorkie, I can understand. But medium-sized to large-sized breeds, once the second set of teeth come in, they should be able to break bone, no issues. Just keep this in mind. Whole bones, they're better for teeth. They're a natural chewing stimulation. We all know dogs in general, they love to chew. Whether it's a dog toy, whether it's your wife's favorite pair of shoes, whether it's that brand new sofa you bought, they love to chew, right? And it's because it's innate in them. Think about it. They're carnivores. This is what they do. And so, yeah, definitely whole bones are going to be better for them. Now, ground bones, like I said earlier, is going to be safer, especially for smaller breeds or for you guys that are beginning. Nothing wrong with just grinding the bone and giving it to them that way, especially the puppies. Best beginner bones, okay? Best beginner bones, all right? Write it down. Go ahead. Get your notebook. Nah, never mind. Just rewatch this and rewind. Chicken necks, okay? Chicken necks are a good little piece of bone to start out with. Why is it? Because when the puppy breaks off the chicken neck, and don't feed it to puppies that don't have the second set of teeth, but I'm just giving you insight. When you feed it to the puppy that's got second set of teeth, when they bite the chicken neck, it starts breaking off in small little pieces for them, right? And so you got to keep in mind, all it takes to choke a puppy is something the size of a nickel, right? If they bite off a piece of bone that's the size of the nickel and they get it stuck, they could actually die from that. The next thing that I would feed pups is wings and backs. Definitely wings and backs. Should you feed lamb ribs or lamb necks? The answer is yes, you can. Also, beef ribs, okay? It's soft cartilage, and they can only chip it off little piece by little piece, so they can't. There's really not too much of a choking hazard with that. If you're going to feed fish, make sure it's with small bones. Also, one thing I learned a long time ago, if you're going to feed fish, right, like the type you go fish at a lake or something, freeze it completely and give it to your dog that way. It's worked out that way very well for us. Bones to avoid, right? Cooked bones, right? Because they're dangerous and they can splinter. Also, large beef femurs. You don't want to feed this even to an adult dog. Why is it? It could crack the dog's tooth. That's why. It's too big of a bone. It's not meant. Dogs aren't. I know y'all going to say, well, but dogs were designed to, bull bait. Yeah, this is true, but they weren't designed to hunt, bulls and cows and that kind of thing, man. Caveman says, I feed beef tripe, which is good. Organs, scrap bones, venison while in season, no fillers, fruits, vitamins, supplements, or medicine. All right, Shade Tree, don't let your dogs have deer antler. My XL broke the tip of her canine. Michael Higginson says, can you talk to us about the grinder that you use? Because a grinder is a big deal with prep time and to get them to eat things they need that they might not like. Yeah, absolutely, man. The grinder I use is called the Weston. I know Weston is the brand. Don't ask me right now to tell you like what's the serial code on it because I just don't remember. I will tell you it cost me $1,100. Even though it is a lot of money, I think it was money very well spent in consideration that I buy a 10-pound bag of chicken quarters for $5.72, and therefore, if you do the math in comparison to kibble, you're saving not just a lot of money, but you're also, more importantly, you're feeding your dogs the very best that you can, right? And you're saving money at the same time. So it just makes perfect sense. It pays itself back, if you ask me. I want to find here a video of me using here it is. Me using the grinder so that you guys could see the grinder I'm talking about here. So if you just give me a second, here, I'd love to show you guys. Yeah, here you go. So let me go ahead and bring up this video and show it to you, Mike, since you asked about it, and then show you guys what I mean by. Hold on a second. You don't hit play and the thing starts playing on its own. It's amazing. All right, let me go ahead and bring it up. Sorry, guys, I don't have Kyle with me today, so it's here you go. Check it out. That's the grinder. That's the grinder I use. That's the Weston. And again, I don't know the number, man. I owe you guys the number. It is Weston brand, and look, as fast as I'm putting the chicken in, it's coming right through. Check it out. Just like that, man. It's that fast. And what I really like about that grinder is that the bone comes out like fine sand. You could feed it to a puppy, no issues. You wouldn't have any type of issues. Second part of that is how to get them to eat things they need that they might not like. Okay. Yeah. And the prep time actually goes down. Well, obviously, when I'm feeding my adults chicken quarters, I don't have to prep anything. But the grinder, I can literally go through 30 pounds in less than 5 minutes, just throwing it in there, one right after another, man. It's really that good. Wow, look at this. My trapper friend grinds whole beaver and sells it $4.50 a pound for dog food, screened out bone. Wow. Wow, that's pretty awesome. Hollis Houghton says, for my omega fatty acids, I add mackerel and sardines in water. Yes, mackerel, sardines, salmon. The kibble I'm currently feeding my dogs along with raw brings salmon, but I'm also giving every now and then I'll give herring and I'll give sardines or mackerel, definitely. Let me see here. Did you mean give the dog the fish frozen? Yeah. I'm sorry if I said something different, but that's what I meant. Freeze the fish and give it to the dog. What's also great about this live is QB and Kennel channel has a library of this knowledge. Thank you, Ms. Shatry. Absolutely. You could go to our homepage and in the search field, type in whatever you're looking for. It's going to be covered. Caveman says, my jackpot is cleaning out the sawdust from the butcher shop saw. There you go. There you go. That'll do it. Let me continue on this. So feeding amounts. So how much and how often do you feed, right? I get asked this so many times, man. So feeding amounts vary based on the size, age, and activity level of the dog, right? Don't be feeding a 10-year-old dog like he's your 2-year-old, man, because it's just they're two different they're two different motors at that point. The general guidelines is puppies should be fed 6 to 10% of their body weight, right? And you should split that into 3 to 4 meals a day, right? So think about it. You got a puppy running around and it weighs 20 pounds. That's 2 pounds of raw food that you're gonna feed breakfast, lunch, and dinner, or breakfast, lunch, dinner, and then something else, post supper or something. I don't know. But yeah, 3 to 4 meals. Adults, they should be fed 2 to 3% of their body weight. And you should split this into 1 or 2 meals a day. Now, I've spoken on this in the past, right? So dogs, after about 10 hours, they go into the catabolic state. And that's when they start breaking down, their muscle in their body and converting it, right, to simple amino acids so they could then try and construct sugars in order to keep their blood sugar up, right? So it's not very effective in doing that. And if you have a dog that is, going 12, 15 hours without eating, you're going to notice they're probably going to have a hard time maintaining muscle. So the way to get around that is cottage cheese. We've spoken on this. Cottage cheese is a slow metabolizing protein. Casein protein is what's in there. And also casein is resistant. So when the dog goes into catabolic state, it's resistant to being stripped from the muscle and being broken down to amino acids, right? So my suggestion is if you could feed cottage cheese, say at night and then again in the morning, or if you leave in the morning and say your kids get home at 1 or 2, have them give them 2 spoonfuls of cottage cheese, and that'll hold the dog over easily for an extra 8 to 10 hours. Let me see. Michael says, what I was trying to say, Raul, is the Western grinder that you use is the model that has 2 horsepower. Okay, there's one that is 1.5, but you have the 2. Either one is warranties to grind bird bones. Yeah, they're warranted. As long as it's warranted to grind bird bones, you're good to go, bro. Actually, I'll tell you something else. I'm actually recently looking into getting a full-blown bone grinder. Now, this is just a whole different thing. So I could actually buy the beef femur and throw it in there, and it just makes it into dust. But that's further on down. Casein protein. Yes, Adam. Eric Rutherford. See, I feed 2 times a day, but everyone is saying 1 a day is better for health and digestion. So now I'm super confused and which way to go. So Eric Rutherford, no one in this community, starting with me, is the sole owner of the truth, right? Everyone is the sole owner of their truth, right? And what works for me and my dog may not work for you and your dog, okay? You may live in Minnesota. I live in Texas. Right now, it's wintertime. More likely than not, my dogs are getting a lot more sunlight than your dogs are. And my dogs are probably getting to run around and play around more than yours do. Therefore, you're probably going to have to feed different than I do. Otherwise, you're going to have obese dogs running around. You see what I'm saying? So don't be confused. Do what works for you. Listen, try things out. Don't stay stagnant, right? And whatever works, that's it. That's your truth. Don't worry about my truth and this other guy's truth. And no, we're all sharing our truths here. You could get a little bit from everybody, see what works for you, and that's your truth. Okay, so you shouldn't be confused. Demorris Tanner says meat grinder is Weston type MG07. I guess. Michael Higgins says if you get into grinding big beef bones like that, you can go to local butchers, and get bags of bones for free. I know because I've done it here, and great for making broth for the dogs. And that's exactly right. You took the words out of my mouth. One of the reasons I want to get that grinder is so I could powder the bone and literally feed beef broth from now to forever. Because all you got to do is throw that powder, boil the water with it, and you got beef broth all you want. Rican Blue says it's a process. You learn as you go. The more you research, raw is not complicated. No, it's not. And neither is breeding. And neither is anything that we do. At first, it may be overwhelming because you're getting a lot of information, different people telling you different things. But if you just sit and listen, and if it doesn't make sense, go back, rewatch the video, play it again, hear it. And once you hear it several times, then you pick up on it, and then you're understanding it. You're able to visualize it, right? I know a lot of times when I talk about barf diet or raw diet or even genetics, a lot of people write to me and they're like, hey, man, I had to listen to it 2 or 3 times. But by the 3rd time that I heard it, bro, like everything clicked and made sense. You see what I'm saying? So Eric Rutherford, nothing but love, man. So don't feel confused, buddy. We all just have different ways of skinning the cat. That's all it is, bro. D. Williams says, yes, that has been my problem in South Carolina, finding the most cost-efficient raw supplier. There you go. Well, man, I don't know what to tell you, bro, because that's one thing. I'm definitely not in South Carolina. I will tell you this, however, if you have working dogs, right? Some of us actually own Rottweilers or Cane Corsos or, I don't know, Great Danes. I don't know, dogs that you're actually, Dobermans, German Shepherds, dogs that are actually working. Then at that point, you should be feeding 3 to 5% of the dog's weight, right? And the extra calories are for the extra activities. Now, everything I've said and the percentages I've thrown out there, it's a rule of thumb. It's not written in stone. What I always tell people is look at your dog's rib cage. If you're not able to see the rib cage whatsoever, the dog is overweight. If you're able to know where the rib cage is, but you're not seeing individual ribs, the dog should be somewhere around ideal weight. And if you're seeing individual ribs, the dog's too skinny. It's really that simple. So let me give you an example of a meal plan for a 50-pound dog using the 2.5% rule. Okay. So if a dog weighs 50 pounds, right, we're going to multiply that by 0.025 and you're going to get 1.25. So that means it's 1.25 pounds that you're going to feed this dog per day, right? So that would be 70 of that 1.25 pounds. It would be 70% meat, 10% bone, 10% organ meat, and 10% combination of veggies and fruit. This is for the barf diet. That's what a sample meal plan would be. So 70% meat, 10% bone. Okay. So for those of you that are trying to figure it out in your head, a chicken quarter is 70% meat. All right. And it's about more like 80% meat and about 20% bone. But like I said, as long as you're getting close, you're going to add 10% organs. And like I said, 10% veggies and fruits. Adjust based on conditions. So if you've seen the dogs being too skinny, increase food. If you see the dog's getting too heavy, reduce the portions. It's that simple. Part 6 of this is what is safe and unsafe foods to feed dogs, right? Not all raw foods are safe, and here's what to avoid. Let me check comments here real quick, man. Let's see. Consultation as you guys, mentorship works best. Yeah, if you become a member, we do have mentorship level, and literally like right now we got like 60 people that are on the mentorship level. We're talking literally almost daily. We're texting back and forth. Michael Higgins says, what were you wanting to compare between homemade barf and the kinds you order? Well, let me get through all this because food preparation has to do with this question that you're posing, and I want to be able to hit it. Eric Rutherford is asking, is there any truth in only feeding ounce a day so that their body goes into the hyperbolic state? Also, so that they don't spend as much energy digesting food, just want to do the healthiest thing. Eric Rutherford, I will tell you this. I feed my dogs raw, right? Even before I was mixing it with kibble and cooked food. When I was feeding raw, once a week, they would have one day that they would just fast, right? And that's just to clean out their system, right? I don't do anything else as far as that one day fasting. That's the only thing we do. Michael Higgins says, y'all check out the QBN video that shows the things your dog shouldn't eat. There are some of them that will surprise you. Thank you, Mike. Absolutely, man. And Rican Blues, you're absolutely right. You can find raw food calculators. So if you really need to know like exact amounts and all that, you can go get a calculator. Otherwise, what I recommend is if you have a home scale or whatever, carry your dog, weigh yourself with the dog, do the subtraction, and just take it from there. It just does not have to be scientific or overly complicated. Safe raw foods for dogs. Let me give you some examples. We're talking about beef, chicken, turkey, lamb, duck, right? Right off the bat. Small amounts. And we hit on this just a little earlier. Sardines, mackerel, and salmon. Okay. The reason small amounts is if you feed in high amounts, then the dog could actually bleed heavily if it gets a cut. So just keep that in mind. Raw eggs, green tripe. Guys, don't go to the supermarket and buy that bleached out white tripe. That's not going to help your dog. The green tripe, that's where the probiotics are at. So for digestive health, that's what you want to give them. Bone broth is great for hydration. Okay. And obviously it's going to be good for bones because it's going to bring calcium and phosphorus, right? On toxic foods to avoid for dogs. So we're going to hit on a couple of these. Cooked bones is not toxic, but like I said, it could splinter and it could be stuck in the dog's digestive tract. You never want to feed your dog chocolate under any circumstance or raisins, right? Which means you don't want to feed grapes, right? Because grapes are dehydrated. Raisins are dehydrated grapes. Xylitol, which is an artificial sweetener. You'll find it a lot in commercial peanut butter. All them big brands. You want 100% natural peanut butter if that's what you're going to feed your dog. Make sure it doesn't have xylitol, guys. That stuff will kill your dog fast. And also stay away from feeding your dogs processed deli meats. They're high in sodium, and dogs weren't made to be eating deli ham. That's not what they were made for. Um, let's see. And Saratha says, I've been feeding kibble plus sardines, salmon, and Nuvet, and sometimes beef for the winter. And winter, I think I'm going to go more to raw for the summer. Yeah, same here. Same here. It especially in Saratha, I know you're in a very hot area. If I understand correctly, you're in Arizona. I could tell you here in Texas, every year, whenever there's a strong summer, there's a lot of dogs that pass away. You definitely want to prepare your dogs for the summer. One of the best ways to do it is feeding raw. You get rid of a lot of excess weight, trims the dog down, and somehow it just makes the dogs more resistant to the heat. Let's see. Adam Fields, us and the dogs fast once a week. Good deal. Shade Tree, there's an app called Balance It. It's free. Hope that helps. It helped me. Excellent. Thank you for sharing that. Michael Higginson says, tell us about your warming process you use when feeding raw. I use it too. It's great. Okay. So if you're going to feed raw, guys, you are going to pick up parasites. It's just, and the reason for that is because, meats are sold in the supermarket. That's the reason we buy it raw and we cook it. The cooking part of it is the part that's supposed to kill all these, tiny bugs that are in there. So the way that we do it is we use diatomaceous earth, which is completely natural, and it's a powder, but make sure you buy the kind that is to be consumed. In other words, that you could add to food. Okay. The other thing we do is also vinegar. We'll add vinegar in the water, also in the food. We use papaya seeds. Papaya seeds have trace amounts of cyanide, and that gets rid of parasites. In fact, a lot of Aborigines and tribes around the world, that's what they used to deworm themselves. In addition, we also use garlic, which is garlic. Yes, garlic. If you think that garlic is toxic for dogs, please do research. Okay. Now, don't just go talk to Siri and say, Siri, is garlic toxic for dogs? And take whatever she says right off the bat. No. Do your research and figure out why it is that they're trying to tell you that. Not only is it good, is it antifungal, antiviral, anti-parasitic. Fleas don't want to get on a dog that's been eating garlic. I'll tell you that much. And, we do all these things. And then in addition, we also use pumpkin seeds. And pumpkin seeds have something in them that'll actually paralyze the parasite in the bowel. And as the stool's making his way out, it just kicks them out. So you got to do this. In addition to all that, I do use Pyrantel Pomiate, just a little extra, right? And we use it once every 21 days. Okay. Also, fenbendazole. Fenbendazole is also used every 21 days. So we go 21 days. So basically, the way it works is you give it 4 days in a row, then you wait 21 days. The reason you wait 21 days is because on those first 4 days, you're killing all the adults, but you're not killing the eggs. You got to wait 21 days for the eggs to hatch, and then you go 4 days in a row and you kill them. All right. So, man, that was a long explanation. Woo. Let's see. Yes, caveman, pumpkin seed does paralyze parasites. Eric Rutherford, man, welcome on board, brother. About time. This is your home.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón.
Pues claro que sí, cabrón. We do this every Monday at 7 p.m. CST and Friday, 7 p.m. CST. People asking sardines and water if you use the canned sardines. Yes. Excuse me. Sardines and water. You don't ever want to do the oils. It's sardines and water, or any fish in water for that matter, is how you want to get them. On fast day, do you still do cottage cheese, gyro grim? I don't. It's complete fast, man. The only thing they have is water. Um, yes, Hollis Houghton. I'm glad you brought this up. Freezing also kills parasites in meat. This is true. I found it very difficult, however, because it means that you got to have tremendous storage space. I had bought a freezer the size of this room, honestly. I'm talking about the length of the room. And it was just too much, man. But he's absolutely right. What you do is you freeze the meat for 21 days, and there's no parasite that's going to be able to withstand being frozen for 21 days. They're resistant. They're very resistant, but they're not going to be able to withstand 21 days. So excellent point. I'm glad you brought it up. Yes, diatomaceous earth. I guess which it's food grade diatomaceous earth. That's the one that we feed. And all we do is we grab the chicken quarters, we powder it with diatomaceous earth. It's going to turn it black, and we give it to the dog. If you get diatomaceous earth and you put it under a microscope, you're going to notice it looks like little miniature crystals, and that's precisely what it does. What it is and what it does. What it does is those crystals actually stab the parasite, and that's what kills it. Shaytree says, I wonder, will DE kill Lyme disease? No, it won't. I watched a video of a lady saying DE killed the heartworm in her dog. Yeah, I don't know about that. I don't know how heartworm. You see, the DE doesn't get into the bloodstream; it stays in the gut. So I don't know. I don't know. I don't want to go against what somebody said. And Sarah says, I give diatomaceous earth in the food and add water. Yeah, absolutely. And you got to add it because it is powdery and it could get somewhat dry. So excellent points. This part number 7 of this live, common raw feeding mistakes. What are they? These mistakes, they can ruin your dog's diet, so please try and avoid them. Feeding only chicken, right? We spoke about this. It lacks variety. You got to change it up. Ignoring organ meats, right? Essential nutrients. Now, this one, I'm kind of, here's the thing. I don't mind feeding my dog organ meats, but I don't want to feed them the liver. I don't. Because of the amount, like I said earlier, of growth hormones, of steroids, of antibiotics, of everything that they're putting into the animals, it's going straight to the liver. You're feeding that to your dog. All of a sudden, your dog starts showing up. Oh, my dog's got chicken allergies. And you really don't know if it was the chicken or if it was the chicken liver or if it was the skin where also all these toxins and whatnot are actually stored. So, as for me, I will always go with Nuvet over liver any day of the week. Not balancing calcium and phosphorus. I think we hit on that. I told you how they're antagonistic. So if you have too much calcium and not enough phosphorus, it's not going to work. If you have too much phosphorus and not enough calcium, it's not going to work. You got to kind of have them balanced. Switching too fast can cause digestive upset. I think we hit on that. You don't want to just put your dog on raw, cold turkey. You know, they're going to be spraying poop through a screen door. All right. You don't want to be doing that. Also, not properly storing the meat. So this whole let's salt the meat like the 1800s. No, that's not going to fly with the dogs. Also, make sure that the meat is handled properly. You're wearing gloves. Is being stored properly where it's refrigerated enough. Do not under refrigerate because you think they're dogs and you know they could just, it doesn't work that way. Let me see here. All right, so that's pretty much all the parts that I wanted to hit. Now it's time pretty much for us to go back and forth with the Q&A. So any type of questions that you might have, I'm willing to jump on them and try to answer them as best as I can. Mr. Author says, I give Diamentaceous earth. Okay, yeah. Adam Fields, don't breathe the dust. Yes, he's right. From diatomaceous earth, mix it in the food. He's right. It's caustic. It will hurt. It will hurt your lungs and your mucosa, your nose. You definitely don't want to breathe that in. Hollis Houghton says there are plenty of books on feeding raw food. Do your research, and you will be able to do it right. Absolutely. I couldn't agree with that more. Unfortunately, research is one of those things that people only do when they're going to school to get a master's degree. Nobody wants to research nowadays. Everybody just wants to flip on the phone every day at 7:30 at night so they could get that dopamine hit. And, they just don't want to put the work in sometimes. Eric Rutherford says, where do you find most of your ingredients for raw at? Everywhere I go, the sardines have oil and salt. Can't find chicken feet at Walmart or Kroger. Well, Eric, if you don't mind telling me, where are you at, man? Because I find everything at Walmart. Everything. Sardines and water, no sodium. I even low sodium mayonnaise, which I also use. I forgot to mention this. I use low sodium mayonnaise mixed with the diatomaceous earth as well. And I will give them that. Mayonnaise is very high in vitamin E. If you know anything about dog reproduction, vitamin E is vital. Adam Field says, don't let the dogs breathe the dust either. You got it. Research is key. Okay, Eric Rutherford, Indiana. Well, Eric, you might have to drive, man, to a bigger city, I guess. If you're in like me, I'm in the backwoods where I'm at, but I'm 15 minutes from a bigger city. They got everything in Walmart there, man. Adam Fields says Sam's Club. Shaytree says, what temperature is a fever and an XL bully? What temperature are dogs supposed to be? I believe dogs are supposed to be 99.5 to 102. Let me look it up for you, Shaytree. Dog fever. There you go. So let's get the temperatures on there. Let me bring it up for you, Shaytree. Yeah, that's a good question. She's been dealing with her dog going through a circumstance. And so fever in dogs is an elevated body temperature above the normal range of 101 to 102.5. So anything above 102.5, Shaytree, is going to be considered a fever. So if your dog says 103, then yeah, you're looking at a fever. Michael Higginson says, I know what you do, but it has evolved over the years. So should a pregnant dog still eat raw? And if so, what are the precautions and changes that need to be made? Well, Michael Higginson, here's the thing. And Eric Rutherford, if you're watching, I need you to listen closely, man. Because what I'm about to tell you right now is going to answer a lot of questions for you going forward. So everyone in the community feels like they're the sole owner of the truth. And the reality is no one is, right? So what ends up happening is this. You got people that will feed raw to their dog, and that's it. That's it. Raw is what you feed your dog when they're pregnant. And you got other people, no, I'm only going to feed kibble, and that's it. It worked, so I don't need to feed raw. Bottom line is there's pros and cons to both. What is the pro? Well, the pro to feeding raw is whole food. You're not feeding any toxins to the puppies inside, none of that stuff, right? What is the drawback? Drawback is possibly higher exposure to parasites, right? Possibly higher exposure to bacteria. Here's the deal and why I don't like feeding raw to my pregnant females. Now, I tried it one time and it worked wonderfully. I can't say otherwise. But here's the thing. Puppies are born, right, with an immature immune system, right? So mom eats with her mouth. She also, as soon as she finishes eating, right, or even as soon as I let her back into the dog, to the pen where the puppies are, what does she do with the pups? She licks them. So my biggest thing is, even though dogs are pretty clean and they're able to handle all that, just a little bit of that bacteria on a puppy's fur can create an entire infection That's just my nursing mind working. That's the reason I don't like to do it. Does it mean that I'm solely right? No. It just means that me in this house with my dogs and my resources, we're going to do it that way. That's all that means, right? If you feel comfortable feeding raw, go for it. I actually tried it and it worked out pretty well. Okay. So just keeping it real with you guys. Walmart is always low on stock. Oh, wait a minute. I almost forgot, man. I almost forgot. I got to get my prize wheel up here. Got to get my prize wheel up here for my guy. Yeah, here it is. Okay. Let me just bring it over. And yeah, man. Most definitely let me get it set up so I could get my guy. Became a member today, and he says, hey man, hey, you know, I did my thing. Let me get my prize wheel. And so we're gonna make it happen. So in fact, we're gonna go ahead and spin the wheel for D Williams, right? So here we go, D. Here we go, D Williams. This one's for you, man. Let's see what you get. Let's see what you get. Oh, there it is. There it is. Channel banner. All right, D Will. All right. So, D Williams, do me a favor. Download QBN app. When you go there, I want you to find Holland Custom Designs. That's my dude, Kyle. What I need you to do is send him your kennel information. And what we're going to do is while we're talking, we're going to be running your banner up here or down here. And everyone and their sister is going to be able to see it. All right. So we got that. We got your spin in. And the other person I want to go ahead and get a spin for real quick is going to be Good Brothers Kennel. Good Brothers, I know you said you had to go back to work and whatnot, but you definitely getting a spin. So bingo, you're getting a wristband. So do me a favor. Also download QBN app and go to Holland Custom Designs, Metal Custom Designs, and go ahead and send him your information. Tell him that you won the wristband on the spin. And lastly, Eric Rutherford. Here you go, man. Just became a member today. He's been a long-time follower. And come on. Dang it, Eric. All right, bro. That just forces you to be more interactive on the next live, man, so you can get a spin. All right. Let me catch up. Yep. Deep freezers are your best friend. Yes, they are. If you're looking to kill the parasites and hold them over for 3 weeks. Now, if you got as many dogs as I got, and they're going through meat and the speed in which they do, you're going to have a serious issue. And so out there, you can always do home cooked if they are pregnant. This is so true. Home cooked is actually what we are preparing to do now with Ali. I mean, we're already doing the rice and potatoes, but once she's confirmed pregnant, then we're just going to go ahead and put the chicken, boil it, put it through a grinder, mix it with the rice, mix it with the potatoes, add add some greens and maybe some blueberries, and we're set. As well as our Nuvet NuJoint DS, right? Our multivitamin and joint support, right? You got it right up here. And our ordering code is 513237. Also, whoa, wrong way. Also, if you do auto ship, you get an additional 13% off, which is going to help you cover the shipping. Michael Higgins says, if you're not feeding raw to the mama, then how far before her cycle should you switch to kibble to keep from shocking her system? Michael, again, Rob Finn, what's up, man? Again, I would just do 10% at a time so you don't shock her in any way, shape, or form. I will also say this. If you have her on raw and she's pregnant, if you didn't switch her like right before she got pregnant or whatnot, don't touch it. If she's already pregnant and she's going full-blown raw, then deal with it. I would much rather that than to trigger any type of abortion or any type of puppy consumption because of any type of shock to her body. That's just a very safe recommendation. Kibble has been recalled more than raw food. This is so true. Hollis Houghton says, treat the raw food like you're going to eat it yourself. You got it. Let's see here. I didn't think about bacteria on her mouth. Yeah, that's just it. That's the one I'm thinking about. And more importantly, and I'll tell you, my biggest thing is God, I forgot the name of this particular bacteria. It's on the skin. Staphylococcus aureus, Staffy, right? So think about it. She is licking, she's eating the skin of the chicken, right? Which may have some staph on there. And she's turning around and licking the puppies. If you get a staph infection in puppies, you're going to get loss of hair. You're going to get scabs. It's a shit show. So I that's the main reason why. Did it happen when I fed my dog raw? No, but I also made her, whenever she ate, she was an hour away from the puppies. I would, make sure to give her a piece of bread with some peanut butter. I was just trying to make sure we cleaned everything out before she got back to the pups. Son of Jacob, how do I get a spin? I became a member when you weren't live. Son of Jacob, how could that be? How could it be that you became a member and I did not give you a spin, son of Jacob? All right, well, son of a gun. Here we go, son of Jacob. Here you go, man. This one's for you. This one's for you. And come on. Oh, yeah. Yeah, you got it. You got it. Channel banner. All right, so do me a favor. Go ahead and download QBN app. Go to Holland Custom Designs. I need you to text him directly. Kyle, my name is Son of Jacob, and I won a free banner for 30 days on QBN. This is the name of my kennel. This is my logo. This is our pictures, and we're going to be putting them here, and we're going to be flipping through them, okay? So you got that in, bro. Adam Fields, let's go. Sid 1026 says, I know this off topic, but are you going to do the stack off this year, or is it that people just don't participate enough? Sid 1026, I'm glad you're bringing this up. Here's the thing. This community is a hand-me-out community. Gimme, right? And so let me give you an example. The very last bully stack off we did, it was a $5,000 payoff. We had over 150 people all of a sudden become $5 members overnight because they want to show their dog. Then when you go live, you got one dog here, you got another one in the background barking, you got some lady in the background chasing a kid in her panties, and I'm like, what the hell are we doing? Like, if you cannot respect the platform enough, then I'm just not going to do it. And so, Sid 1026, I may do one at the end of the year, but I could tell you already, it's probably not going to be fun to the casual person in this community, because the person in this community, 9 times out of 10, they want the platform to adapt to them. And this platform doesn't adapt to anybody. You got to adapt to us. That's just the way we roll, man. Just keeping it real with you. Congrats, D. Williams. Congrats. There you go. The wheel is nice today, says D. Taylor. I know, man. Yeah, congrats, guys. Rican says, I fed raw to my girl through her whole pregnancy. There you go, Rican. Like I said, bro, that's your truth, and it worked out for you, bro. And so who am I to sit here and say that what you're doing is wrong? Now, I wouldn't do it that way. I got my reasons, right? And we could both respect each other, right? On the fact that we differ in opinion. Adam Fields, also making homemade chicken broth is easy. This is true. And homemade chicken broth is one of those things that I don't care how sick a dog is, they will not walk away from. Should you increase the amount of raw kibble when a female is pregnant? Yes, but not necessarily the amounts you think. I'm just saying. I remember when I was feeding raw, I increased her feeding by 30%. And that's because in the raw feeding, 30%, 70% of it is water. And I wanted to really increase what I was feeding her by 10%. That's why I did it that way. But if I was feeding kibble, I would only increase 10%. That's all the female dog needs. Getting her to the point where she's going to explode is not going to help you in any way. Dropping that knowledge at QBN. Make sure to like and subscribe. You got it, man. Give us a like, subscribe, share, be part of the conversation. Become a member. Rob Finn, I'm waiting for you, man. I see you. I see you. You're like a shark. You've been circling us now for quite a bit. I'm waiting for you. $5, man. Be part of the conversation. We do this every Monday and every Friday. Dickie Foster, there you go. Salute. You got it. Shea Tree, son of a gun. Congratulations, son of Jacob. You got it. Fire. All right. Congrats. Son, dumb smartphone. Yeah, I know. No worries. But listen, guys, this is pretty much it. This is more of a, I don't want to say beginner, but it is kind of like beginner level. Now, if you find that you have a dog that has a different type of body type, say your dog is really athletic and it's always running around, increasing their food, right? You don't want to see each individual rib. That's very possible. Also, if you're trying to gain mass because your dog's going to be going to a competition, you want it to look as beefy and massed up as you can, cottage cheese, oatmeal. Oatmeal is a complex carbohydrate, does not get processed fast like rice, right? Which is a simple sugar. And the same goes with cottage cheese, which keeps the dog in a anabolic state, which is the state of adding, right? Adding amino acids to create things rather than catabolic state where it's breaking things down to amino acids, right? Let's see. In Toronto, wow, V Ferreira. In Toronto, when having a litter in the winter, that's twice the reason for me to give her kibble. Okay. Strevia, congrats, son of Jacob. Hall is hot and good topic. Make sure you share it with others. Absolutely. Give us some shares. Perfect Storm Bullies, QBN, always giving out knowledge. You got it, man. It's what this platform is about. It's what I'm all about. It's what we did when we started 5 years ago. You see many people out here now trying to kind of simulate and all that. And don't get me wrong. They may have some right things to say, I guess, after having the research. But you know that the only one that does it live and answers you live on the spot is QBN. We've been the only ones to do that. R2R Bully says, thanks, Raul, for all the knowledge. I'm bulking up my dog. Now he has a couple of shows coming up. You got it, man. Steel cut oats. Yes. Detailer says, follow up on needing different source of protein. Should we switch carbs every day too? You know, you bring up a good point because I never said switching up veggies or fruits either. I switch up carbs. So, but I only stick to 3. I gotta say the truth, right? I stick to 3. Is rice, potatoes, and sweet potatoes. I don't go any further than that. I may do oatmeal. I take it back. I do oatmeal every now and then too. Okay. Depending what it is that I'm trying to do and what time of the year it is. Right. So definitely like the type of vegetables we feed our dogs. Everybody knows if you watch my videos, my go-to is carrots and green beans. Right. Those are my automatic go-to, but you got to switch it up. Right. So my go-to is carrots, green beans, and apples. And then I switch it up to oranges. Sometimes I've done like squash, butternut squash, and pumpkin. I'm very big on pumpkin whenever it comes in season. It's one of the most amazing things you can feed your dogs. So yeah, changing it up, man. You got to change it up. Otherwise the dogs get bored. Rican Blues, much respect. Adam Field says, I use pumpkin also. Thank you, Raul, says Shade Tree. Well, you got it, guys. Listen, we wrapped up another live. I hope you guys were able to learn something today from us. If I said something that you agree or disagree with, go ahead and leave in the comments. I'd love to answer you there as well, especially if you're not catching us live, right? I will come around and check it out. But either way, I want to thank you for joining me this Friday. It's been Raul from the Q, catching you on the next one.
Here we go. Kill the whistle. We are going for a whole hour. Straight dog talk and the song. Jump on in and speculate. Show up on time, don't be weak and late. We are community, so don't hate and learn to cooperate. Yeah, hit that like button and do your thing. 5 membership will get you in. So let's talk dogs and don't waste no time. Monday 7 p.m. Don't come doing the HATE. Otherwise Hollywood will give you the BYE. Here we go, kill the whistle. Oh yeah.